I want to talk about Kyler Murray because I don't think I've ever been this passionate about a take in like my life of creating content. We'll get to that in a sec.
That's a statement.
But I want to talk about the contract extension. How do you feel about that? Is it weird timing? What do you feel?
I think it was deserved, and I think it had to be done. I think more it's on Arizona's plate to actually build a championship caliber team around them. I think they've really disappointed in that aspect. Even though they've had success, it's just that roster is very flawed, and Kyler at times has had to really just work around his magic to keep the offense afloat. It falls on them, but I understand why they made the move now, because look, in that division they got to keep building, and they can't go back, especially if they invested literally a number 1 pick in him. So it was an understandable move. I saw criticism for it, and I think just maybe recency bias because of how bad that playoff game went, and he didn't show great body language. I feel like when a quarterback has bad body language, which he tends to have, there's going to be a real negative stigma around it. But you watch the player itself, Kyler Murray's borderline top 10 quarterback, if not already a top 10 quarterback. So purely on ability, it had to be done.
I'm a Kyler Murray guy.
Yeah.
I had picked him to win MVP in year 2, and at one point, like the Cardinals were like 7-2, and they had that Hail Murray, an iconic play. And the contract is a 5-year extension for $230.5 million with a total guaranteed of $160. In 2022, in last season, he made $965,000. That was like his cap hit.
Right.
So, sorry, that would have been this cap hit in 2022. So he signed on until 2028, right? It's something you need to do because he's made them exciting. He's made them relevant. They're playing primetime games because of him. He makes them fun.
Yeah.
And also, he helps them win when he's healthy. The knock on Kyler Murray is that he takes these hits that it might not end his season as far as he's out for the year, but he'll play hobble. Like, remember that Patriots game in his second season where it was like not hostile environment, but it was like rough conditions. It was cold. It was raining.
I think they lost like 13-7.
Yeah, it was
ugly
like
loss.
an ugly, like typical dome team going to New England in November, December.
I think Cam was the quarterback in New England, and they weren't putting up points.
And yeah, it was an ugly game, right? And he had gotten hurt. And then the rest of it, they stopped running with him. Right. They stopped doing a lot of the stuff that makes him the talent that he is. Like, one of the reasons why he's such a special talent, Lamar is such a special talent, is because they do something that's so unique and makes them so hard to game plan for. Like, if I was looking at quarterbacks that I would have nightmares about having to prepare for if I'm a DC, I think Kyler Murray is like in the top 5 when he's healthy. With the running and then the throwing also. Oh, yeah.
I think it was 2020 when that read option was really slaying teams. Like, even though I think they were running a little too much with him, the success rate was huge, particularly in the red zone. Like, there were times where he was untouched in the end zone, 15 yards. And just having that capabilities makes the offense even more dangerous. So I think it's a matter of with Arizona. I think Kyler is the talent itself. Totally worth it. It's just now putting the piece around to really build a contender because Arizona, like, they're there, but it's just they're so flawed. And I think ultimately it comes down to the front office having to draft better.
Yeah, for sure. He, in 2020, was his best season. He scored 11 touchdowns on the ground, had 819 yards rushing.
Yeah, man.
And even passing, his passing numbers were pretty insane, too. Yeah. He threw 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He had 4 game-winning drives coming off a Rookie of the Year season. And he played all 16 games, but again, he had gotten hurt, and he was not the same. Like, I remember he was my fantasy quarterback, and I was like, he's clearly hurt. Right. Like, I was watching him, I was like, he's not – he would do the read option, and then if he had nothing, he would just, like, collapse.
Right.
Like that Tom Brady slide so he doesn't get hit, which I love because you're self-aware. You don't want to get hurt.
Yeah, another thing is he does tend to hold on to the ball for too long, which is cases for a lot of young quarterbacks, especially when they are so confident with their legs. I think Kyler had that issue when I think Deshaun had it too. Russell Wilson had a big problem with it. Like, your second, third, fourth year, just you're holding on the ball too long, trying to make something out of nothing, and then it leads to a bad sack, turnover, take even more punishment. So I just think there's got to be more of a maturation process with Kyler Murray, because I do hear rumblings that he hasn't been like the greatest leader, and we talked about the body language. So I think talent's there now. It's just maybe taking being the true face of the franchise, and hopefully the franchise doing right by him by simply, like I said, build a better roster, get younger as well, because oddly enough, Arizona I think has, if not the oldest roster in the league, at least in the top 5.
Yeah, they definitely have a pretty old roster, and they lose Christian Kirk in the offseason. They lose Chase Edmonds also. They lost the lineman. They've lost some pieces, but they still have some like really good players. Like Budda Baker's still there. J.J. Watt, who when he first got there, he had an impact, and then when he got hurt, you saw the drop off coming. Right. And they also lose Chandler Jones, who's getting 15 plus sacks for them. In 3 seasons with the Cardinals, Murray has a combined record of 22, 23, and 1. 11,480 yards, 70 touchdowns to 34 interceptions, 20 career rushing touchdowns. What does this mean for the guy that they're comparing to immediately is Lamar Jackson? I mean, I even made the comparison between the two of them. What's this mean for Lamar? Is it crazy that Lamar hasn't gotten paid yet?
Yeah, that's a murky situation, especially because Lamar has accomplished more and proven more than Kyler Murray.
Easily.
Yeah.
It's
you
not
look
even,
the resume, it's not
debatable. No,
Man, won MVP, number 1 seed. I think they won the playoff game. Yeah, they beat Tennessee.
Dude, last year they were the 1 seed until he got hurt, and then Huntley came in, and they also had over 20 guys on IR.
Yeah.
Like, Baltimore is a team I'm very, very high on going into next year, and a lot of it is because of Lamar being healthy. And Lamar's record is 37-12, 84 touchdowns, 31 interceptions. What he's done on the ground is absolutely ridiculous. They're both the same age. He's the number 1 toughest cover, I think, in the NFL for quarterbacks. Like, he's the guy where it's, dude, he could beat you in so many different ways. And on the ground, he's just out of control, too. He's had back-to-back 1,000 yards rushing seasons. And, prior to last season, he's been pretty durable, dude.
Yeah. And he's really intelligent with the ball. I don't think he's that reckless when it comes to turnovers either. So.
And he don't really get cracked.
No.
He's like Russell Wilson. Remember Russell Wilson? He would always slide. He wouldn't go for that extra yard. He wasn't like RG3 who really wanted to get that extra yard. That was always my favorite thing about Russ. Russ was, all right, I'm going to pick up 17 yards instead of fighting for an extra 6. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
I already got the first down. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Just got to be aware of your body. That's pretty much it. And Lamar has definitely done that. And he's just so efficient as well. Which is one of the biggest things. Like, he's high touchdowns, low interceptions. The only knock on Lamar really is it just playing from behind has been an issue. But then again, I do think some has to fall on the Ravens for not putting the best supporting cast around from a playmaker standpoint, and it's looking pretty bleak right now.
Listen, man, I'm not the biggest. I think he's like 1-11 when they're down 2 touchdowns. He's not a guy that can play from behind, but also he don't really have the best weapons.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Ravens, for whatever reason, they have a weird thing when it comes to assessing receivers and not wanting to spend big cash on them.
The one guy he had good chemistry with left, ironically enough, to go play with Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
They traded him. Mark Andrews is a top 5 tight end. Last year he had the season I thought he would have 2 years ago. He's emerged. But I also have an issue when my number 1 weapon is a tight end. Like, I like having Waller with another receiver. I like having Kelsey with another receiver. Yeah. It's just a weird thing for me.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by Bateman. I think Bateman will develop into someone reliable, but I don't know if Bateman will ever be that alpha male. He just doesn't seem like that guy, but I think he's a steady, secure option. But the rest of it, just like, I hope they do more. But now Baltimore, they're a small organization. They're going to get together with Lamar. I have no qualms about that. Whether it's within the next few weeks, August, maybe early September, who knows? But I do think everything will come to terms with that. It's just, whatever reason, maybe they're playing hardball.
Yeah. Are there any good receivers available that they can maybe go after?
If number 11 that used to play in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's right.
If he's okay, I don't know. I'm a little surprised no one signed him yet, but health, maybe he doesn't want to do training camp. Who knows? But it's got to be the whole Julio or Odell.
Well, Odell, I would prefer Julio.
Yeah.
Because Odell's going to be out until, November?
Oh, yeah. So
got the ACL. And that's like best case, perfect rehab.
So there's options out there. I just think Baltimore, maybe they just want to go through training camp, go through preseason. Because a guy like Julio or Odell, they don't really need preseason. So maybe that's why they're waiting until late August, early September.
Yeah. But I have an issue when you're going to a new place.
Don't get those reps in.
Yeah. I don't mind if if Travis Kelce held out because he didn't want to do training camp, I'd have no issue. Devontae Adams, I'd have an issue. You just got there. Yeah, you played with Carr way back in the day, but you need those.
You want to build a rapport,
Yeah, Keenan Allen and Herbert, that's fine. If Allen don't want to take, that's cool. But when you're a new wide receiver going into a situation with a new quarterback, I think that's, to me, it would mean more if they got the rest.
I would see him also if they can take a. Because I've always will believe in the talent, even though he's super unreliable and he's hurt. But I always love me some Will Fuller, and I feel like Will Fuller is a deep threat. He can make things happen. You just can't fully depend on him. But I think he's someone that you have to account for. So if he's healthy and he could play, he should definitely be on an NFL roster.
Yeah, for sure. It's the health with him. It's the health. Like even
drops are annoying, but I feel like you could tolerate it. Like a playmaker like that. If Ted Ginn did it all those years,
Will Fuller could too.
Yeah.